Should we remove the cost cap in Formula 1? Now, this is, of course, a huge debate. The simplest among us will say absolutely not. The smaller teams will go out of business, it's allowed them to thrive, and it would be catastrophic for the sport. But you've got to look at the options as well, because ultimately, the FIA carry out the cost cap on behalf of Formula 1 and the teams. It's an expense that they incur, and they don't get any financial benefit for doing it. They just spend money. So imagine doing an audit for somebody but not getting the pay for it. That's effectively what the FIA do with the cost cap. Now, I'm not saying for 1 minute they should scrap it. Maybe they should just work into the Concord Agreement a payment to cover it. That would be a lot easier, wouldn't it, of course? But there are also some things about the cost cap that aren't actually good for the sport. For example, it stifles innovation because teams can't develop at a free will anymore. They have to follow a route and stick to that route for fear of getting it wrong. And they also can't innovate and go outside of that because they haven't got the time or the money in order to do so. There's also the work-life balance that the staff actually face, because by having a cost cap, what happens is you've got the same team that has to go to all of the races, support all of the races in the factory, whereas if you had no cost cap, you can employ double the amount of employees and you could give them a better work-life balance and also a better living wage, because ultimately that's the other thing that the cost cap has done. It's stifled how much employees earn, which in turn has led to people going to other sports, other careers, rather than coming into Formula 1, which is of course supposed to be the pinnacle of motorsport. Now, if you could earn more money doing a job somewhere else, you're naturally going to go do that job somewhere else. Why wouldn't you? That's what you're there to do ultimately with work. Yes, there will be a lot of people who do it for the enjoyment, don't get me wrong, but there will also be a lot of people who will be the main earner in their families and will decide to go where the money is to make sure that they can actually provide for their family, and rightly so. The cost cap stops all of that. That's the point. You've also got facilities to look at. You look at the issues Williams have faced, not being able to upgrade those facilities because of the cost cap. They've got the money, but they can't spend it. That's catastrophic for a business in a certain sense. Could you imagine a restaurant, a supermarket, a whatever company not being able to expand because of all the restrictions in place, not being able to make it better for their customer because they weren't allowed to spend the money? That would be wrong as well. So whilst yes, I agree that getting rid of the cost cap could have catastrophic effects, it could also be good for the sport as well. But for me personally, maybe there's just a balance to be found over what the cost cap covers, and then also we can look at what departments it's covered in and maybe make changes that way first before scrapping it all together. Because whilst personally I'm not a fan, it has been good for the security of the sport. It allows teams to get sponsors, it allows teams to be financially secure, it allows teams to be able to pitch and get more money because of the fact most investors will know that team is going to turn a profit round, which makes it a lot easier for them to go and drum up that support they need to actually make sure everybody in a team can stay safe, not fear for their jobs and run at a loss. So yes, it's easy for us to say no, I should say. There is also an option to say that maybe there's a possibility to tweak it somewhere.